It's just past midnight in Taipei. Sirens wail across the city. On the television, banners flash. Taiwan military on high alert. Fighter jets roar overhead as the island's defense forces scramble to respond. Chinese warships have crossed the median line in the Taiwan Strait. The world holds its breath. Cameras on the ground capture tense faces. Parents clutch their children. Shops close early. News anchors repeat the same urgent message: unprecedented military activity reported near Taiwan. The Chinese Foreign Ministry denies any aggressive intent. But in Washington, Tokyo, and Canberra, leaders gather for emergency discussions. For millions across Asia, tonight's events feel like a nightmare. But for diplomats, this is a wake-up call. How can the region avoid a wider conflict? Is it time for a new kind of alliance? With the stakes higher than ever, some ask, is it time for an Asian NATO, a united military front to deter aggression and guarantee peace? The phrase Asian NATO is now on everyone's lips. Politicians, generals, and analysts debate it on talk shows and in parliament halls. The question is simple but urgent. Should Asia form a security alliance like Europe did after World War II? For years, Asian countries have preferred loose partnerships. They rely on old treaties with the United States, but tonight's chaos in Taiwan has changed the conversation. Leaders want something stronger, more formal, and more reliable. Supporters argue that only a powerful alliance can keep the peace. They say Asia needs a deterrent that matches NATO's strength. Critics warn it could provoke more tension. They fear it might force countries to take sides and escalate disputes. Yet, as the world watches Taiwan, the debate intensifies. The question is no longer theoretical. It's about survival, stability, and the shape of Asia's future. The call for an Asian NATO is no longer just an idea. It's a possible answer to an increasingly dangerous reality. This isn't the first time the world has tried to build a military alliance in Asia. In 1954, as the Cold War raged, the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, SEATO, was born. Its goal, to stop communism from spreading in the region. SEATO brought together the United States, Britain, France, Australia, New Zealand, Pakistan, Thailand, and the Philippines. But from the start, it faced problems. Unlike NATO, SEATO never had a standing army. Its members were scattered, their interests divided. Most Asian countries stayed out. They didn't want to be caught between superpowers. Over time, SEATO struggled to act when crises erupted. By 1977, with the Vietnam War over and new alliances forming, SEATO quietly dissolved. The failure of SEATO still haunts policymakers today. They remember its weaknesses, unclear goals, weak commitments, and a lack of unity. Any talk of an Asian NATO must reckon with this history. Yet, as threats grow and old alliances seem shaky, some wonder if Asia needs to try again. This time, with lessons learned. The Indo-Pacific is now the most contested region on Earth. The Taiwan Strait, South China Sea, and Korean Peninsula simmer with tension. Any spark could ignite a wider conflict. Taiwan faces constant military pressure from China. Chinese jets cross into its airspace almost daily. Beijing insists the island must rejoin the mainland by force, if necessary. Nearby in the South China Sea, Chinese ships clash with vessels from the Philippines and Vietnam. Territorial disputes threaten vital trade routes. North Korea adds to the danger. Its missile tests worry neighbors in Japan and South Korea. The risk of miscalculation is real. Meanwhile, piracy, cyber attacks, and terrorism add new layers of uncertainty. As these threats pile up, countries across the region fear they could be next. The need for security has never been clearer or more urgent. China's rise has changed the balance of power in Asia. Its economy is now the second largest in the world, and its navy is actually the biggest. Beijing's ambitions are, well, bold and unapologetic. The United States and its allies are watching all of this with concern. Washington has long promised to defend Taiwan. Japan is worried about its own islands near China. Australia and South Korea are strengthening their militaries and defense ties. Even India, usually pretty cautious, now joins more joint exercises. The US responds with these so-called freedom of navigation patrols, sending ships through contested waters. Japan is building new missile systems. Australia has signed defense pacts with the US and the UK. These moves, honestly, anger China. Beijing warns that alliances are Cold War thinking. Each side is preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. But as the rivalry grows, the risk of confrontation rises. The world wonders, is a new alliance the answer? An Asian NATO would be a formal alliance. Its members would promise to defend each other if attacked. The idea actually has support in Japan, Australia, South Korea, and the United States. Taiwan, while not recognized by many, would definitely want in. Others, like India, the Philippines, and Vietnam, might join if the terms feel right for them. Such a pact would have clear goals: deter aggression, ensure open sea lanes, and respond quickly to crises. It could train militaries together, share intelligence, and set up joint command centers, just like NATO in Europe. But designing this alliance is not simple at all. Asia is vast and diverse. Countries have different enemies, histories, and strategic needs. Some worry about angering China. Others fear losing their independence or, being dragged into wars they don't want. Still, the conversation is growing louder. If the threats keep rising, the pressure to unite may become impossible to ignore. NATO in Europe has worked for more than 70 years. Its strength comes from unity. An attack on one is an attack on all. This promise, Article 5, has kept the peace since World War II. NATO's members train together. They share intelligence and military technology. When crises hit, responses are fast and coordinated. The alliance expanded after the Cold War, welcoming former enemies. Today, it faces new tests in Ukraine and beyond. But can this model work in Asia? Europe's security threats were clear and its members shared a common history. Asia is more complex. Old rivalries run deep: Japan and South Korea, India and China, Australia and Indonesia. The European model inspires many, but copying it in Asia won't be easy. Differences in geography, politics, and history create unique challenges. Asia's history is marked by war, colonization, and mistrust. Memories of occupation and conflict linger. Japan and South Korea, for example, still argue over past atrocities. India and China view each other with suspicion. Even close allies like the US and the Philippines sometimes disagree on strategy. Many Asian countries value their independence. They resist being drawn into great power blocks. Some fear that a military alliance could limit their choices or force them into unwanted conflicts. Others worry about public opinion at home, where anti-alliance sentiment is strong. China's reaction is another obstacle. Beijing sees any anti-China bloc as a threat. It could respond with economic punishment or military pressure, making some countries think twice about joining. Building trust in Asia is slow and the risks of missteps are high. Turning old enemies into new allies is a challenge unlike any other. A new alliance could change Asia's future. Supporters say it would deter aggression, protect trade, and guarantee stability. Smaller countries, they argue, would feel safer. Joint action could stop conflicts before they start, but there are risks. A strong alliance might make China more aggressive, not less. It could force countries to choose sides and fuel an arms race. Some worry that a military pact would overshadow diplomacy and make peaceful solutions harder. Others fear that, like SEATO, a weak alliance would collapse in crisis. If members disagree, promises could break. If commitments are unclear, enemies might test the alliance's resolve. The stakes are immense. The right alliance could keep the peace. The Vatari Bondai, on the Sarns, on Sin Genside, Bondini Moberdane, eine Kengedikin Shrine, Fididei Bobain, from Baumsai, Albine Sprite Tidam, for by Durden make the region even more dangerous. As the sun rises over Taipei, the crisis is far from over. The next steps are critical. Should Asia build a strong new alliance, or seek other ways to keep the peace? The arguments are clear. An Asian NATO could provide safety and certainty, but it carries real risks. History warns of weak alliances and unintended wars. The future of Asia may depend not just on military strength, but on trust, dialogue, and wise leadership. One thing is certain: the region cannot afford to ignore the dangers any longer. Whether through a new alliance or stronger partnerships, Asia's security needs urgent attention. In the end, the path forward may require both courage and caution. The world is watching. The choices made now will echo for generations to come.